topic today, which is narcissistic mothers and the damage they have been causing inside of us, in our souls, in our psyche, in our emotional world, and probably also, no, for sure, also in our cognitive world, in the way how we are thinking and how we can trust what we are perceiving. And I would like to talk about, let's say, 5 points, rather general points on in the way how this all affected us as children of narcissistic mothers. First of all, what is a narcissistic mother? A narcissistic mother is a very defensive person, a person who cannot see herself, a person who is highly conflicting, a person who is constantly, and now here it comes, trying to hurt you, a person who is unstable, has huge anger issues, is highly critical of you, is full of entitlement, and emotionally exploits you, and gives you the constant sense to having to take care of her instead of yourself, besides being really scared of what's going on. A person who devalues you, a person who mocks you, a person who makes fun of you, and a mother who is really lacking empathy for her child, and a mother who is having, now it comes to, many faces, but at least two, a face towards her victim, which has been you, possibly among others, and a face towards the outside. Your mother might be known as a very recognized person, as a highly professional person, as a person who is highly empathic with other people or in her social contexts, just to get this recognition. So there's like really two faces of the same person. My name is christinajunge. I'm a love and leadership coach for inner healing. I would love for you to subscribe down there. I would love for you to hit the notification bell and to leave your comments. And I'd be happy really to have you. I'll be talking about 5 points today in which way a narcissistic mother is impacting us in our, self, let's say, in our identity. One point I want to talk about is poor self-care. The second point is emotional control, anxiety, and depression, and how it, what she causes in us. The third issue is trust and loneliness issues. The fourth is looking for love and recognition as a result outside of yourself. Right now we're getting into this whole inner healing thing. And as a fifth point, I want to talk about self-worth, self-security, and self-confidence, and about trust and how you can build this despite of having had to live with a mother, a primal caretaker, a person who was to give you your security, your identity, was there to give you love and stability, and how you can reinstall this with time. But you need to see what has happened. Okay, let's rock. Poor self-care. If you have perceived from this woman that you are not enough, that you are not worth, you have no worth for her, that you are not loved and will never be loved, that you are nothing, let's put it like this, for her, because she's constantly getting down on you and telling you how you're not, criticizing you, mocking you, like treating you in the most horrific ways of unlove, then you will have problems with taking care of yourself, with being there for you, with reading you, and with, let's put it like this, with treating you like something valuable, like something which deserves to be treated well. And this is not only, we're getting to this whole emotional part, but this is not only on an emotional level, this is also on a level of self-care, of taking care of your body, taking care of your clothing, taking care of what you have to do in school or in your workplace. There's coming up all over the place issues where it's going to be hard for you to really take care of yourself. That was the first one. Let's get over to the taking care of myself when it comes to emotional control. For you, this narcissistic mother was constantly out of control, and I bet you she still is if she's still around. She's still playing those tricks on you because she does not want to change, and she needs you to be the one, well, sitting there and being, let's say, like a recipient for her ugly coming down on you, for her ugly, I don't want to get too ugly here, but her spitting out all her poison over you, you know. She will never get good by it. She doesn't understand that. But it gives her a great satisfaction to see you down. Why? Because if you are more down, she's more up. It's a really poor behavior. You will see with time how poor of a woman this is. But you couldn't understand that back then. So she will make sure that you stay down there, you know. And the moment she notices that you are confronting her, the moment she notices that you are empowering yourself, the moment she notices that you are questioning her, she will get down on you again, and she will pull all the registers just to make sure that you won't proceed on that path, and that you still think you are crazy, and that you still think that you are wrong, and that you still think she's a poor someone you have to take care of. All right, so there's like coming a switch in there where we as children, being with this crazy behavior, you know, are assuming we will have to be the ones taking care of this woman because she's so crazy and we couldn't deal with this. So we get into this entire, let's say, alert thing of having to deal with a person who can just rage on us at any time, you know. And if she doesn't rage, then she is so unlogic and so conflicting and so, well, she's getting down on her kids, you know, or especially on you, I don't know, you know. And she will use that, you know, to make sure that nobody is gonna come close to her and nobody's gonna question her. Why? Because questioning her will lead to this point that she would be forced, let's say, that she would have to look into herself and change herself. And changing myself really takes a big leap of faith, a big leap of perseverance, a big leap of taking care of myself, of it's a lot of strength I need to employ on this company, you know. Control of emotions is really a three-pointed thing. Controlling her emotions, you seeing that she doesn't control her emotions, you're not learning to control your emotions, and in the end you're having to learn to control your emotions in this path of inner healing. Do you understand this? Which this being out of control emotionally, being constantly confronted with a person who is out of control and who plays that and is getting down on me, has has a price in my life, and this price is most likely to be the price of, when it comes to relationships, of anxiety or of depression. Also a path of how to deal with this entire discontrol of emotions could be could be for me to look for happiness outside of myself. So the probability that either her or in the end us, me, you, are developing some kind of addictions, be it addictions to alcohol or drugs, be it chemical addictions, be it addictions to risk sports or behaviors, be it addictions to work, be it addictions to love, be it addictions to sexuality, be it addictions to gambling, you name it. Wherever we are looking for love outside of ourselves, this is where we are not with ourselves. You're looking for happiness in all these employing these addictions just to get this chemical thing going inside of yourself. There's something up, that you don't raise this chemical, these emotions by yourself, because you are not in control of your own emotions. And this will show especially in relationships with other people, of course, especially there where we want to open and where we need to open just to be close. At the moment we need to get close, at the moment where this entire closeness or distance game is getting towards opening up more, this is where our stronger feelings are coming up, and this is where we become possibly anxious or avoidant. And here I'm coming to the third point. I gotta drink something. Hold on. As we all can hear. Third point. Trust and loneliness. This is very much connected to this emotional control and to our in return to the highly conflicting emotions which were communicated to us in our childhood, that we withdraw in the end, because there's no security, there's no trust, where what we have learned not even to trust ourselves. And this is the major part. I will get you into the bonus point. I was talking about this, of how to deal in the end with all this, that you do become good. It's simple and not simple, but it has to do with trust and with the moments of loneliness or anxiety or depression, in the moments when you possibly get into relationship with people who are, let's say, violating your boundaries, who are threatening your boundaries, just because they are so delicate, because you couldn't find like a strong or build a strong inner self to be strong without having to put this entire let's say knight armor on top of you. Excuse me. So trust and loneliness are really interconnected to this entire emotional part, to this anxiety and depression part. And my withdrawal, my looking for a lonely and safe space, this lonely lionhood, let's say, is something very typical for a person who has lived in an emotionally totally uncontrolled world, when this person grew up and developed an identity of who I am and who I am being seen in relationships, or what is trustable for me. Another thing which comes into game when we're talking about emotions, about trust and loneliness, is also the fact that the children of narcissistic moms can have the tendency to not wanting to put their children through a similar danger, because they can't trust themselves, and they have learned they can't trust other people, and they have very surely passed through relationships which were similar to the relationship with their mom. Some are lucky, some don't, it's true, but the probability is just very high. So children of narcissistic mothers have a tendency of not wanting to put their children through something like this, and will avoid having their own babies. Also, the distrust and not having the experience in life that what I feel and what I do and how I can behave can be reliable, because my entire outer world was not reliable, and it was something I was assuming to be, I was guilty of, it was shame on me, because I'm all these things this narcissistic mother told me I am or I am not. So I was never enough. So how could I think that I would be enough at the moment that I would be bearing a child? Okay. Loneliness as a way of withdrawal from emotion, depression also a way of building walls and being in a safe place with only myself, or being in a relationship and still not being able to deal inside this relationship with our emotionality, with the boundaries, with closeness and distance, so that possibly also inside of a relationship there's no strength of communication or of vulnerability or of opening up myself to be able to bring a relationship forward. So the possibility for me to withdraw and to find in there a healthier place is just given. It's just given, and you will probably see it in yourself. Let's do the jump to the fourth point, which is looking for love outside of myself, love and recognition. So what I possibly become by living with a narcissistic mother, I can become aggressive. This is possible, this is a way for me, but you would possibly not listening to this video if you choose the path of, let's say, imitating her. But I suppose that you find yourself in a victim position for so long that you are looking for solutions to get out of this trap, let's say, this emotional trap, because it shows itself in relationships and especially in love relationships, that you might want to have a look at how you look for love and recognition, not inside of yourself but outside of yourself, that you constantly need reaffirmation, that you constantly need somebody to tell you that you're finally good, because you haven't told yourself so far, because you haven't trusted in yourself. And the best place for where to stay when you can't trust yourself was the withdrawal and the loneliness, the lonely wolf behavior, where trusting isn't an issue. I can be a lonely wolf all my life long, and like this I can avoid getting in contact and getting into contact with exactly those hurt emotions and my low self-esteem. And then we're going to this fifth point, when I am looking for love and recognition outside of myself, people will notice that I am of low self-esteem, and this is tiring for people, having to be constantly the people who are reaffirming me, who are telling me they're not gonna leave me, the abandonment issues, they're not gonna let me go, that they're gonna be there. But since I have to fill up this this bucket, let's say, which is my body, my soul, myself, this is just too much for one person, so relationships are very much charged. Besides that, I am very prone probably to relationships who also look for happiness outside of themselves through addictive behaviors of some kind, be it sexual behaviors, be it relationship behaviors in and out, or be it really chemical or some other kind of addictions or behaviors. So, trying to find love and recognition inside of myself will be very crucial in overcoming narcissistic mother abuse. It's an abuse, it's deep abuse, because your entire identity was kind of like cut off, your entire emotional world was so focused on this crazy woman. You couldn't understand the world, that you have not been able to build let's say an entire identity of who you are, what is safe for you, what are good boundaries, what are you capable of, what are you enough to just be there, without having to do something. And then the entire issue of having to, fix constantly the people with whom we are in relationship with, just to not having to look inside of us, because this is such a scary world and we are so ill-equipped with emotional self-regulation that it is just by habit so much easier to fix everybody else, and to make this world like this a little bit more safe, than getting into my own. I always call this boat in on high sea, with waves coming up. For sure those those movies where the waves are so high and things are so short of emergency and of crashing the boat, that this is the constant edge on which you are emotionally drawing. Fifth point: self-worth, security, self-love, self-confidence. This is gonna be the big old issue you have missed out on constructing in your life, in your upbringing, and probably repeated in other relationships, because the probability that you were able to get into an open relationship, into a caring relationship, into a relationship where you allow somebody to come close, where you allow somebody to take care of you, is very extremely slim, because there will always be this mistrust, this incapability of controlling your own emotions, and this entire fear to constantly again being abused, and also not wanting to let somebody close to you, because you're just scared that at the moment somebody is coming close to you, this person is going to hurt you, and to be able to construct this peace, this trust, this being able to share with somebody, being able to let somebody just as much in as you allow to, this will be a crucial moment in healing. Also, what I wanted to say is, you are most likely to find an emotional mirror of yourself. This person doesn't have to have bad skills. If you get a person who can deal with your emotional distance, on a level which is not confronting with you, on a level where you can both exist and hopefully slowly work yourself up to an exchange, and to slowly but surely building trust and opening, well, then you're lucky. The crude truth is simply that you are most likely to bond to what you have learned is powerful and is something you're used to, and is something where you're simply at home with, And these are narcissistic people, or people who run from their emotions, or people who have anxious attachment, or have most likely avoidant attachment. People who just run from you, who are as scared of being contacted inside as you are. So, what is the way out of it? There's no quick way out of it, but there's a sure way out of it, and you can start today, And the way out of it is to keep on listening to your inside, to take yourself very seriously in what you feel and what is coming up, and to really evaluate your emotions and your perceptions as something which is true, to be there, regardless of what it informs you of in the end. It just informs you of that there is something, but it doesn't have to determine you. This is emotional regulation, that you learn to perceive, like, there's I'm like, oh my God, or that there's something, some perception, some stimulus of something being strange, something being scary, something being, that you don't understand, and that you think, But take this home with you. Take this with you to a space where you can evaluate that and see what it wants to tell you. It doesn't have to tell you that you need to withdraw. It doesn't have to tell you that your safer place now again is depression, anxiety, or all kinds of addictive behaviors. It doesn't have to tell you. It might be able to communicate you that you need to ask, that you need to ask somebody how he or she perceived it if somebody else was around, that you ask somebody to support you on how you perceive that, like somebody who takes you serious, somebody who believes in you, somebody who says, tell me, I'm going to listen to you. I'm not going to judge you right now, but for you to be able to go this path of inner healing and of looking what is going really on inside of yourself, I'll be there for you. Today this is maybe true, that you say this is scary, but tomorrow you will see that this was maybe just like a flash of an emotion which is not generally something which this person displays, but more almost like a projection, or almost something I manifested in this other person. I don't want to, like minimize your feelings, if something comes up where you have to say, no, I need to take distance from this or from that person, or I need to communicate what that meant, when I have to confront a person, that would be perfectly fine. But sometimes it can also be the chance to communicate with a person who supports me, and then to go out into the world again with a little bit of more trust, with a little bit of a higher self-control, with a little bit more of emotional self-control, emotional self-regulation, and a little bit more of being brave without having to fix the other person. Just, focusing on yourself, just focusing on what you need to do with this situation, what you need to do in relation to this person, being hopefully accompanied or supported emotionally by somebody who's carrying you through these times, somebody who understands you, somebody who has walked through something similar, or possibly, obviously, as like a professional person, somebody who knows how to deal with exactly this problem. Then you can start to change your relationships and now comes the next point. The moment depression, anxiety, weird feelings, confusion is coming up. I talked about it in videos, in prior videos, about being there with the inner child and staying, being present, being there for this inner child, like this inner child as somebody who is like the holder of your emotions as they were constructed as you were a child, which were all wrapped up and packed into this box, into this safe. I always call this is your inner child, like this at the age when this hurt, well, this vulnerability, where this critical time was passing. This is probably the age of this inner child you might want to hold right now as an adult, as a person who can now manage this, because this child couldn't manage this. So the challenge is to right now stay here with you, stay inside of this relationship, be there, with this anxiety, with this confusion, with this distrust, with this whatever comes up in your mind, with this jealousy, and tell your inner child that you are not gonna leave her or him right now, and that you're gonna be there, and that you're gonna be there for her or him, and that you're gonna hold him or her, and that you're gonna make sure she or he is gonna be safe. And then to ask, what do you need? Maybe there's a lot of sadness down there. Maybe there's a lot of confusion down there. Maybe there's something which wants to be looked at of your childhood dramas, where you as a child were just perceiving something, which you couldn't explain to yourself, a parent leaving, a parent or parents being in a violent situation, and another sibling who was being preferred and held, a raging mother, you couldn't understand where she's at, or the whatever happened with addictions in your life. You couldn't understand that. Sometimes we need to have a look at this again, to understand this with our let's say adult mind, and to be there again for your child and to hold it, as strange as sometimes this feels to people, just be there and tell this child, your inner child, which is you, which is your strong emotions, that you're not going to leave her or him, that you're going to be there, that you're going to protect her. And then you need to enter into a self-love and a self-care relationship with yourself, where you're constantly starting to self-affirm yourself. And this is going to be all a path on its own. Good luck with it. Thank you for listening. I hope I could show a little bit of what it causes in us narcissistic mothers, like the chaos, the emotional chaos which ends up being in us, what it means for us when we get into relationships, what we attract in relationships, and how we behave just because we've learned this, and what we can do about it as some really simple techniques. And if you need professional help, well, look for it. Just do it. Just go the way, but look for somebody who is really specialized in the theme. Because some people go to help, to look for help where people don't have the answers. Thanks for being there. Subscribe if you want to. I'd love to have you. Give me your comments just to understand where you're at, how that works for you. And if you want to, click the notification bell down there. I'm very happy to have you. Send you much love. Bye, yo. Be good. Take care of yourself, okay?